Hello, hello. Kim Rowe here with For the Nest. I've been working all day and I ran home to do this live. I am so excited about these projects, and I've been playing over the past couple days. If you've seen me, everyone's saying, "Oh my gosh, you have been all over the place." I'm in my garage. You can tell. Look at all my stuff. I have a pile up of stuff, and my parents just picked up a dresser for me as well. So. Anyway, it's good to have things to do. I'm glad. I'm excited. I love painting and I love all this. So like learning and growing and having all these, like I've been learning about creating. I've been learning about growing my business, and now I'm just excited to get my hands in the paint and play. So I played a little bit yesterday with, hello Betty. With some things, and so I am very excited to show you what I've been doing. And I've been watching my friends today, and if you've watched them, if you didn't, go back and watch the replays of everybody. We still have, hello there, Front Room on 7th. We still have a few people this evening after me, so watch Sonnet and Sharon. But and you guys, if you're there, post your links so that people can follow you after me. But anyway, I'm in Pennsylvania, so if you heard about the release today, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but one of them is called Pennsylvania Folk, right? That's the name of it, I believe. Yes, Pennsylvania Folk. And so I was excited because I'm from Pennsylvania and I live right near Lancaster County. In fact, my parents live in Lancaster County, which is where I think a lot of the folk, Pennsylvania Dutch and stuff, it came from. So anyway, I have a little piece behind me here, if you can see it, and it is actually made by the Amish. And like fate had it, the Lord had it for me to get this piece because I was in between two trips that I had. I only had a few days home, and I saw these lamps posted, and I don't know, I was just telling somebody else about this, or maybe I was doing it on my live. I saw these two lamps posted, and they were at a place right near where I was going to my friend's house for dinner. So I'm like, oh, I'll get them. Then I looked to see what else she was selling, and she was selling this adorable desk. Now I have it up on a little table because I'm trying to, get up, keep it up higher so I can work from standing position. So let's see how that works. But before I get to that, I want to play around and show you a little bit about designing on how I designed what I'm going to do on this piece. So if you pop on, I'm going to have my computer up here next to me. I'm going to put my phone up so you can see down, and then I'll move you around a little bit. So what we're going to be using today is the Pennsylvania Folk stamp and the primitive mold. And then I'm going to be using two different lines of paint, which is really fun to kind of combine these two. I don't know that I've ever combined them. So I'm going to be using DIY paint. The colors that I have, I think the only three colors I'm using are Bohemian Blue, which is one of my favorites. I've never used Cake Batter. I opened it today. I love it. And Apothecary, which is one of my favorites as well. And if Kristen's watching, I know Kristen, that's your favorite too. And then in the DIY paint, this piece is painted in the Evolution line color Greige, and it goes on really nicely, really smooth. I just cleaned it with the Pure Power and then painted 2 coats, and it is a beautiful finish. So what we're gonna do is, thank you, Betty, and then we're gonna be using Adobe by Farmhouse paint, Aqua Provence, and then like I said, those two are in the original line. Hello, Kristen, thank you for watching. And we may play around with some other colors too. Oh, from Oklahoma, thank you, Tony. Okay, so I am going to, because I gotta get going because I only have an hour and I have so much to show you, I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm gonna, hello, Joni. Your project was so cute, and I need to play with that resin. If you didn't watch Joni, go back and watch it. Okay, so I'm going to put this camera up into my holder here, which I have set up. So hopefully, let's see if this is a good view. Hold on, I'm going to just pull my computer up so we can see here, and we will get started. So first of all, and I was working today, so I didn't get to watch everybody's live. I watched little bits of everybody's, but I'm guessing that they did tell you about getting started with your stamp and seasoning it, I like to call it. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but so if they didn't, just when you get a stamp, and I already did this, but take a sanding block, I have rad pads, anything like that, and you just want to kind of go over it a little bit. I just go one direction and then the other, and then you're all set to go. So I'm gonna get rid of that to get that out of my way. So this is ready to go. Now, I'm just gonna move you in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing here. You're kind of over my shoulder, but I thought this was a good view. I'm gonna get these out of here. So what I did, I had this piece of cardboard and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and plan out and Jane, my friend Jane, would be proud because she has a planner on her page from Surface Anthology. If you haven't seen her, she has a planner and it kind of helps you plan out your design of what you're doing on your piece. Sometimes I just go for it, but on this one I really wanted to kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. So I started with the stamps and I'm thinking of the front of the desk, and so I was thinking of this, and I like these birds and you know all that. Well, then I started playing today on this with the colors. So the background of this color is Greige. And then I stamped with just the black ink from IOD, a couple stamps, and then what I did is I kind of colored in with the DIY paint. So I love the way this looks. This was painted in Adobe, and then I took the Bohemian Blue. Let me just see if I can show you this a little closer. And like did a wash with it and buffed it, like wiped it back while it was wet, like watered it down so it's kind of like a watercolor. So I want to show you that because, well, actually let's just do it on the actual piece. We're going to do it on the actual piece. So I just wanted to show you some of that. I did make a few molds ahead of time because I painted them and then I wanted it to, now I'm going to paint them now so that when we get to that part, I like it to be a little bit harder so that I can, you know, wipe that. So let me paint those now while you're watching. I love, this is cake batter. Look at the little bird, so cute. So you can make your molds, and like Joni did with the resin, I don't know if anybody else used resin today. I have used resin let me see, I think I'll use the Aqua Provence on this one. I've used resin to make molds, but I've never done it with the mixing powders. Oh, I didn't open this earlier, so here's a little trick. You can roll it with your foot to loosen up your paint. There's a little bit left in here, so I don't have a whole lot. Now this color is called Aqua Provence. Let me grab some of my little artist brush here that I have. Let's see here. I washed them all today when I was at my shop, so I know I have them right here, but I just have to find what pocket I put them in. Here it is. I just saw it here. It is. Okay. So I'm going to use Aqua Provence. It's a very pretty light blue color. My color scheme is kind of, it's a little bit of on the lighter side. I don't know, I figure this is probably gonna be in a child's room, but this was just, these colors were kind of speaking to me, even though normally Pennsylvania Dutch stuff is a little bit brighter, on the brighter side. But I thought you can do what you want with art, right? That's what's so fun about it. So if you're popping on, oh, see, now I have let me put my glasses on so I can see. Hello, Dawn, thanks for watching. Yeah, the stamp is addicting. Well, actually, everything is addicting. I didn't get to play with the other products yet, but as far as these two things go, it's funny, as I was playing with it, the more I looked at the mold, I was like, oh, look at that, there's a trim piece in there, and it's tiny little leaves. So it is really, really cute. There's so many, actually, let me just show you the mold, and I haven't cleaned it since I used it. But if you look, there's like the leaves here, little flowers, there's some, and a lot of them are mirrored images, like the birds, these, I don't know, some sort of little leaves, the rabbits, and these two mirror each other. So I think that's kind of cool because not all molds have that, which is kind of nice for when you're doing, you know, something that you want to be symmetrical. So this paint dries pretty quickly. I'm putting it on here. I think we're only going to have to do the one coat. And then we're going to go over it, like I said, with the, I think I'll use Bohemian Blue on these. I think that might be pretty as an accent. So let me hold this up so you can see it a little bit better. So I made these molds probably, let me think, it was a few hours ago. So they're still, I mean, they're fragile. You have to be careful. Now, if you did them with resin, they are much more durable. But I laid them flat, so these will be going on a flat surface, and hopefully everything will work well with this. I was going to make one more mold because I wanted to have 4 of these on my piece. So I wanted to just show you the making of the mold in case you've never played with molds before. And it's funny, I have a friend that I just met, and I don't know if she's watching tonight, but Amy is seriously thinking about getting IOD in her shop. I'm trying to tell her she needs to have it in her shop because who knows, you know, I mean, who wouldn't want IOD in their shop, right? It's such a fun product. But anyway, all that to say, she's like, I don't know if I would do the molds. She really loved the paint inlays. I'm like, no, you will love the molds. I did the same exact thing when I was told by Sherry and some other people about IOD, and I thought, I'll just do the transfers. I don't want to get into all that other stuff. Well, you know, here I am. I'm addicted. I'm officially addicted. So, and I always warn people when they buy things too that you might just get, but you know, it's not a bad addiction. It just costs some money, but you have to just save up, right? Okay, so if you watched, oh, hello, Sylvia. Thanks for popping on. Now, she's my friend that I just finally got to meet in person. If you don't follow her, she's Louisville Mercantile, and she's in Tennessee, another IOD buddy. But we're in a business group together, learning how to grow our businesses. So anyway, now what was I saying? Oh my goodness, my brain. Well, anyway, let's finish this. There we go. So those 3 are done. I think I'm going to do the Adobe. Let me put my top on this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I just made it because I just thought it was so cute. Actually, let's make a mold while and then we'll let it dry while I'm doing the other stuff so that I can paint it. So I'm going to take my air dry clay. Now, I will give you a tip. My air dry clay, I had it down in my basement in a Ziploc bag, in its plastic, but I had already used it, so it was open. I had it there for a long time, and it was kind of hardened, and I was kind of bummed because a lot of it was still left. And I'm gonna move this over so you can see. So I think I saw it somewhere in maybe the Creative Tribe or something, and Erin mentioned about taking your clay and putting a wet paper towel in with your clay, and oh my gosh, it totally brought my clay back to life. So if you have clay that is hardened, don't throw it away. I just let it sit in there for like, it's been a couple weeks. Now, I will say the area where right around the paper towel was super soft, so you have to let that kind of re-harden just a little bit. But so as you can see, I'm working on a little table here that's not super sturdy, so I'm not putting too much pressure on, but I love the micro rim on these molds, so it makes it really easy to get a good, you could use a putty knife or something like that, but for now I am just going for it with my thumb and pressing off the edge. So you can kind of see how it gives a nice edge. Okay, so when I'm done with my clay, actually, let me see, I think I may make one more of these little, I think it's a pomegranate. I'm not really up on all my vegetables and fruits and whatnot, but, and my Pennsylvania folk art pictures, but I think it's a pomegranate, which is pretty cool. It's got a lot of cool textures in it and stuff. But yeah, there's some really, like, as I was using this mold, I was like, oh, look at that cute little, oh, and the other thing too is I did season these earlier, so I put cornstarch in them. So if you're doing, you know, molds, you might want to use some cornstarch. I keep it in a little, I just get those at the dollar store, the salt and pepper shakers, and just keep them in my stash of creative stuff. So whenever I'm going to use a mold, and look at that, it just pops right out. And there you go. So these I'm going to use on the door fronts. So I'm gonna have 2 of them. So I'm gonna kind of create them similar like that. So we'll let that dry. Actually, let's put it in my box over here. And I'll put this one aside. So I'm gonna move you. I did bring my stool out here, but I'm probably not gonna sit in it. So I'm gonna move you over and we're gonna get started on this piece. So, let's see here. Sorry, you're looking at the floor, but I will tilt you up and there. Okay, so, oh, sorry, I don't want to make you dizzy, but I might be. Okay, let me move you back a little bit to the side. Okay, so what do you think? Isn't this a cute little piece? Let me see if I have you in the right spot. Okay, I think that's good. So what we're gonna do is, I think I'll start with the doors down here because I know exactly what I want to do there. I'm gonna take my stamp and we're gonna use the tulip little design. I don't think I'm gonna be using my masks on this, so I'll put them aside. So we're gonna be using this one here. And I think what I'll do is I'll put it upside down, like facing each other. So I'm gonna do that. And what I like to do is, like I said, I already seasoned these. What I like to do, and these, I was really gonna get new thin mounts, but these are well used, but they keep on going. So I just am gonna place it on here, and then I'm gonna take my ink, and I'm going to, I like to do it on a solid surface. It just makes it a little bit easier to make sure you get good coverage. I didn't bring my baby wipes up here with me, so when I go to clean them, I usually like to use the baby wipes. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna line it up here once I find the spot that I want it. Now, normally I would lay this on its back. It would be much easier to do this laying on its back because I could press it a little bit harder, and I just think I smeared it, but let's see, because it really doesn't matter. I'm going to be painting a little bit. I basically want the outline. Oh no, that worked perfect. Okay. Now this ink is permanent, so you don't have to put a top coat over it, but what we're going to do with it is add, I'm trying to hold the piece so I can give it a little pressure. We're going to add some of the DIY paint. Oh no, see, that didn't push it good. Let me see if I can just go in here. Perfect, okay. Because we're going to add some layers of paint over it, so we'll be fine. Basically, I want this to be an outline for my paint. I want to like color in the, it's almost like paint by number, but paint, you know, color by number, paint by number. I don't know, there's no numbers, but I'm going to paint in the lines. So this, it makes it a little trickier to do it this way, but for your sake, I'm trying to make it easier for you to see. Okay. Okay, now, if you are in the Pennsylvania area, I have all of these things at my shops too. So there is the tulips. We're gonna let that dry and then I'm gonna paint them. But look, then we're gonna put this here in the middle. And then we may put a little coat of something over it as well. Hello, Amanda. Yes, a coloring book, kind of like furniture coloring books, exactly. I know, this is the perfect piece. I know, Kristen, I know. I was like, when I got this, you wouldn't even believe how excited I was because I knew this was coming up and I knew I had another trip in between and I did not know how it was all gonna work out. So, anyway, that's how it worked out and it was wonderful. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna move on to the birds. I just love these birds. So again, this is, you can see it good on here. I mean, this whole thing would be so cute on here, but I'm going to spread it out a little bit. So I'm going to put a bird. Actually, I think I'm going to put them right in the middle. And then my thought was to use these little guys in each corner somehow. Yeah, maybe like that. Oh my gosh, it's so adorable. I'm so excited. Is anybody else a little crazy like me and as things come together? I know, Kristen, you are because I've seen you actually working. Oh, thank you, Tony. And thank you, Jesse. Yeah, I get like, you know, sometimes I think and think and think and I'm like, oh, I don't know. But as soon as this came together with this little desk, I was so excited to actually do it. I had to wait for you all to do it because I knew this was going to be tonight, but so that's why I was practicing on my board, and it made me realize I really should practice more often because to plan it all out is much smarter. So I'm again adding the ink. Now you could use, I mean, there's like so many different color inks. I did think about using the stone gray, but when you're coloring in like a coloring book, it might be better. Oh wait, I was about to put it in the wrong place. Okay, so I'm going to, now some people might measure. I'm trying to think, is there anybody? Joni, this is the perfect piece for that. I know, I'm so excited about this piece. Does anybody measure? Like, I think there's probably somebody on here that measures to make sure they're doing it in the center. And you know me, I kind of fly by the seat of my pants. So I'm gonna eye it up because I don't have anything to measure with here. Hello, newbie from Nova Scotia. I was just with my business coach who's from, what's the name of her town? It's a tiny little town in Nova Scotia. If I think of it, I'll say it. Okay, so I am going to eye this up and I'm hoping for the best. If somebody doesn't buy it because it's not centered, then, but I can always change it. Okay, so this is a little tricky. I will say doing this flat would be much better because I'm trying not to push the whole thing over, but it is kind of heavy. This is solid oak. If you weren't here on the beginning of my thing, this is from an Amish maker, and so I was very excited to actually have an Amish piece of furniture to use this Pennsylvania folk. See? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's so cute. Now let me get the other bird because these are mirror images of each other. I don't have, and normally, like I said, I would use my baby wipes to clean these off, but I don't have them here. So we'll just clean them at the very end. The other thing that works really good with these is your scrubby sponges. If you don't have them, they're really handy to clean your brushes, but also clean your stamps and your hands. When I use this, my husband hates that I bought. Yes, my husband would do the same thing, Amanda. He's like a perfectionist. So, but that's why we get along, you know. I mean, we bring a little fun into their lives. Now, look at this. This thin mount has been used for lots of things, so it probably wasn't the smartest thing because I really can't even see behind that. And I want this to be, I want them to be kind of on the same angle. I can see the head, so let's see here. Okay, I think that looks good. Yeah, I'm gonna just, let's see. Okay, I'm gonna just go down, go for it, and hope for the best. Yeah, it's good to have a husband that's kind of a perfectionist because he pays the bills and he does all that stuff that I hate to do, or that I don't even hate to do it because I don't do it. Thank goodness he does it now. I just pray nothing happens to him because then I would have to be doing that stuff. Not that that's the only thing I'd be upset about, but okay. Okay, looks pretty good. Just a little twinge of a little off, but doesn't matter. Once we put all this stuff on, it'll be totally fine. Okay, now, so now I'm just kind of winging it with what I want to put on here because like I said, I'm going to put those little molds there. One thing I did think about doing, because in this set, if you can see on here, there's a couple border pieces, and I thought, oh gosh, maybe I should do like this one. Let me see how long this one is on comparing it to here. Because if I did that there, I'd like it to be a little, oh actually, you know what, maybe I'll do it here and put a little flower or something there as one of the, maybe even like the pomegranates. I could put the pomegranates like here. And I'm gonna put, I think I'm gonna put something, there's one of the stamps that I'm gonna put there. But I'm thinking we could do that there. And then I could have this over here and here. So this is like a little trim piece. It's really cute. And it's just a simple little leaf, but I think it'll add a little something fun on here. So yeah, that's the other thing. So that not only do the molds have pieces that are not necessarily folk art-ish, they, you know, you could use them for other things. So is the stamp. There's a couple pieces of trim. There's lots of, I'm gonna kind of go close to the edge here with this. I'm sorry, I can't talk when I'm concentrating. Okay. So just try and press all these little leaves, making sure you have good contact. And then sometimes I lift it and just check. If I really paid attention with these grid lines, I could have lined it up to the bottom there to make sure this was even. Maybe I'll be lucky, let's see. Yes, looks pretty good. And I think I'll do the same thing up there. And maybe down the sides too. Let's see, what I could do. Yeah, I think, that one I don't think I'll do because I can't fit two. I think unless I went all the way to down the bottom, which I don't think I want to do. So let's see here. Can you still see? Okay, good. Any questions so far? Dawn, you crack me up. Okay, so I guess it's Pennsylvania related because, you know, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania Dutch, you know, like Lancaster, you know, when you drive around out here, you see the, you know, the signs on the barns and stuff. Oh my gosh, you crack me up. It could have been, well, I always think, because I'm in the Philadelphia area, it could have been like the Liberty Bell and stuff like that. But no, Pennsylvania, there's, you know, lots of, the origination of it, I guess, was Pennsylvania Dutch, you know, way back when. Now, let me see if I'm lining this up. I think that's right. And again, I'm not going to worry about being perfect because we're going to be adding in molds and paint and other things. Okay, what are you thinking so far, everybody? Okay, no problem, Kristen. See you later. Okay, so you want to let this dry before you paint it. Let me do one more. There's one more stamp I wanted to do here. It's this little laurel, well, some sort of leaf. I don't know what kind of leaf it is. I'm going to do that. I thought this would be cute here. And actually, I may do it here and put, because I did, let me show you what I did with the knobs. I actually took the knobs and I added little flowers onto that. So, I'm glad you guys love it. So no, I didn't put a clear coat on before I stamped because this paint is Farmhouse paint, and it's got a finish on it already. So it does not need to have a clear coat on it, because if I was just stamping, like say I was using the DIY paint and I was just gonna stamp onto it, I guess you could put your top coat over that whole thing at once. The stamps itself do not need a top coat because they're permanent, and this paint does not need a top coat. But what's going to happen is when we paint in the colors on here, I'm going to let that dry. I probably won't get to that on the video tonight, but then I'll put a top coat over that probably tomorrow. So that will be because it's a clay-based paint, DIY paint. So I have to top coat that. You know, the kind of, I'm gonna make like a watercolor almost look on there, and so you would want to top coat that. Okay, hopefully I got this in the right place. Now, I mean, worst comes to worst, I could wipe this off. I missed a little darn leaf. Let's see if I can just get the leaf. Ah, I did it, pretty good. Not perfect, but it'll work. Okay. See, if you do it perfect, then no one would think it was handmade, right? You want it to look handmade. Okay. Sorry, I get quiet when I'm concentrating. Okay. Now, it looks kind of boring right now because there's no color to it, right? One other idea was, let me just try one more thing. I thought about taking, but I don't think any of these are, well, I could, well, let's see, this one might work. I thought about putting, yeah, that there. I think I will. Kind of underneath where the knobs were, and I was thinking about doing here, but those are too, that's too big for that. Okay. Okay, so if I had grandkids, I wouldn't be giving this thing away. I've said that a number of times with pieces that I've made recently because I've been doing little kids things for some reason. I got a little table here too. Oh, I love it. So cute. Now I need to find, I think I'm going to see, I can use one of these smaller ones. Oh, there was another flower I could have used. These might not show up, but I think I'm going to try it because the other one, I think this is too big. Yeah, that's too big. There's no other small one. Oh, wait a minute, here's one. Let's see. That's a little bigger. Yeah, let's do that one. Okay. Yeah, so there's lots of little flowers in this set that are kind of surprising. Like, I didn't notice them at first. I was looking more at the bigger items in the pack. So for the set, it's a good size set. Tons of, I don't know, I didn't count how many stamps are in this set, but it's a good amount. Yeah, oh shoot. Okay, I'm using my spit to clean that off. Okay, let's see. It just couldn't see the hole because it's filled with paint. All right, that'll work. I'll have to maybe touch that up with a little paint. Okay, so I think we're done with the stamps. At least for now. Oh, I did want to put, well, maybe I'll put a mold in there. Let's see. I do have the rabbits, and I do have that flower there. But you know what? I'm thinking just to pull in that, I might do that. I'll do one more stamp. What's my time like here? Okay, good. Sometimes I try and do half-hour things, so I was glad this was an hour because this is a big project. Okay, let me just add a little bit more ink here. And then we will line this up here. And these thin mounts are nice because they have these grid lines, so it does help you to line them up. Okay, that's good. That really just adds a little something. I could even add, okay, I'm not gonna add any more right now. I'm gonna let that go, let it go, right? And this is where I'm gonna glue these in here. I just need to add a little more blue in there, but I'm gonna show you painting. We're gonna paint this a little bit. So let's see if this is, it's still a little damp. Let me just get one of my paper towels here. And I'll dab it a little bit just to make sure because I don't want it to smear. Yeah, it's pretty dry. Yeah. So you can use, like, you could let this dry a little longer. Really, this is pretty dry, and I'm not going to be smearing it too hard. I'll let this dry while I'm working on this down here. So let me pull this down. The tulip's your favorite part of it? Yeah, it is cute. Okay, so let me see here. I think I'm going to, hold on. Don't get dizzy, close your eyes for a second. I'm just gonna move this down. I don't have all the high technology, you know, right now with my, hold on, oh my goodness. Actually, I think I'll keep it on here and I'll just move this part down, hold on. This was, I got this tool from Jonathan, well, not from him, but he gave me the idea, Jonathan Mark Mendez. When we were at the IOD retreat, he had one of these, and I was like, oh, that looks handy. Okay, so I think you can see that. Does that look okay? All right, so now I'm going to pull over my paints. I'm gonna be having these three. Let me cover up my ink. And what I need is a little water. And here my water. And hold on a second here. I need a cup. So I'm gonna pour some water in here because I don't want to use this paint full strength. I want it to be kind of like a watercolor. So if you've seen Debbie Beard do this, she's done some fun things with DIY paint, making it like a dye. I haven't tried it yet, but she's painted fabric and all kinds of things, which is kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to, let me get my little stool here. This little stool, I left it with a plant on it, so it got rusty, but it's like a little milking stool. Okay, which is kind of perfect for me working here. Okay, so can you see? Yes, all right. So I'll work up here first just to show you. And I really liked, actually, let me grab my, you can use, I use this cardboard as like, almost like a little palette. It worked for me to mix my color a little bit and dab it off a little bit. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So, actually, I think I'll use this brush here. So what I did is I took a little bit of the paint and put it on my thing here. Now you could use, you know, paper plate, anything, but see, I'm kind of grabbing water and making it more watery. So if that makes sense. I don't want to use this, I want it to be more like this. And then what I did was, now let me come down here. I need it to be a little bit more watery. Okay, there we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint in here. And I'm not going to make it like perfect if it, you know, I want it to be a little bit whimsical and fluid, I guess is a good word. So this is, when I did this today, I was playing around with this. I was like, oh, this is a whole new thing for me. I've never done this before, but I really like it. I used to, actually, if my dad's watching, which I'm surprised if he's not, but he's probably eating dinner. He is a watercolor artist, and so I did, before I was into all of this, I did watercolor painting, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of that. Even though this is, you know, you're kind of working in a pattern that's already there, not making your own pattern up. But, so again, this is Bohemian Blue by DIY, and it's over top of Greige, which is Farmhouse. So Farmhouse is kind of like my canvas that I'm doing it on. And I'm just getting a little bit out of the lid here. But see how the color, it just kind of brings this to life, doesn't it? But what I like about this is the watercolor effect allows you to see the lines and the stamp through it. If I did it real solid, you wouldn't be able to see that as much. Now what I'm doing now is I'm going back over with a little bit of a darker, a little bit of a thicker paint, or more pigmented, not as wet, I guess I should say. And just adding a little bit of color to the edges, and just kind of making it, giving it a little depth. So I like that. Now we're going to go up to the top tulip, because I want all the tulips to kind of coordinate, if that makes sense. I know the Bohemian Blue is a great one, Joni. I think it was the first one that I used, and oopsie. Now I did go out of the line a little bit there, but that's okay. It's like coloring outside of the lines, right? Get a little more water. See, and I'm not doing this perfectly. I mean, I'm kind of like just kind of going in and out. Now, I did play around with letting it be a little drippy on that block that I was showing you, but I thought I don't want to do that on here because I just was kind of not feeling it on here, but it would be a cool. Okay, so now I think the other color I used was, Apothecary. So let me get the Apothecary here. Now I'll probably, Actually, maybe let me go in just with a little bit of this blue in these flowers here too, because I want that to dry, and then I may add a little Apothecary and Cake Batter in there. So you can see I'm just putting a little bit of color. You don't have to be an artist to do this, but you just play around with it. And if you don't like it, you can wipe this color off. Like once you, thank you. You can wipe this color off because it's not sealed yet. So I could go back and reactivate this when it dries. And now I'm looking at this. I think I need to add a little blue to the birds, don't you think? I think I do. I think I just need to add a little. I don't know what kind of birds these are, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of blue in here. It's such a pretty color. It's kind of like a, I would say almost like a mix. I'm gonna go over to this side here. It's kind of like a mix between navy and teal, I'd say. It's kind of a really cool blue. I have to say, I think this is probably one of my favorite colors. One of the things I'm going to be doing in my shop coming up, so if you're local and you come down to see us, I'm going to be putting vendors' favorites. So you can kind of get an idea of what people like. Okay, I think that's good for the blue. I'm going to let that go. And I'm going to bring in the Apothecary here. Rinse this brush out. And I'm not going to worry about getting it too rinsed out, because again, I'm gonna do my little palette here. I'm gonna pull it up on here and get it a little wet. Okay, and then go in and color this in. And again, this is gonna still allow you to see that center part of the stamp. This one didn't stamp as dark down here, but that's okay. Okay, now I think I'm going to use this a little bit thicker here for these. I'm going to go in and paint these leaves. And I don't have to, you don't have to fill it totally in. You can let a little bit of the original paint show from the background. Oh, I just went out of the lines there, but that's okay. And like I said, this would be easier if I was working on it like a flat surface. It probably would probably be a little bit easier. Although this isn't too bad right here, but some of it I think I would do better. Now I think I'm gonna go in there too. This is gonna, let me see how this brush works. This is a pretty small brush, just a little. I know it really does pop on here, doesn't it, Amanda? Okay. So I'm just gonna literally just touch each little leaf, barely give it a little color. There we go. And I probably could have used the cake batter on this too, but let's see how that, because remember I have my molds. Don't forget the molds, we're gonna add them next. So I'm gonna come around here and just touch this. Oh my goodness, so cute. So yeah, I had never used the DIY paint and the Farmhouse paint in conjunction with each other. And I'm really liking this because it's a great base for this, and it's a really durable background, so for a kid's piece of furniture this will be perfect. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit in here, and let's just This is kind of blending it a little bit, but I kind of like that. I'm not sure what to do with the head. Maybe I'll do this. Let's try that. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. And then the cake batter I'll use on the beak. How about that? See, my sister would be proud. I'm kind of trying to make it look like a bird, like a real bird. Is anybody else a bird watcher? My sister's a huge bird watcher. She kind of got us. Actually, I do catch my husband with the binoculars every once in a while after she lived with us. So she's okay. So that's that. Now let's grab the molds and the clay. And the glue. So I'm thinking. Let's see. Maybe there's two different directions here. I think I'll do this one like that. Okay, so I'm gonna use this, and I may touch these up. Probably I will touch these up, but I just painted them, to get a base. And the other thing I thought of, which I did on the one knob, I may even glaze this at the very end. Now, if I was glazing, I'd have to wait to top coat the whole thing, just because of the DIY paint being a little porous. Okay, so let's see here. Do have a little bit of excess, hold on, excess glue in here. Let me move that out. Okay. My hands are a mess here. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Stick that on there. Yeah, I'll have to touch up the paint because I can see inside there. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. And then I'm gonna show you how I did the flowers with kind of a combination of the two paints again. Okay, sorry, I'm doing this on the side here. Does anybody have any questions? Let me know. Okay. And this is going over here. And I think I am definitely, as I'm doing this, I'm noticing I am definitely going to use a wash over these, because I did this in the Aqua Provence of Farmhouse, so it's a little bit, not quite the color of that, so it'll be fine when I wash the Bohemian Blue over that. I'm just gonna press this down so that it makes sure I get all of it. From this angle I can see it's not making contact, so I wanna make sure that makes good contact. Okay, I'm gonna hang the one more on there, but I will wait to make the last one. I think this one goes over here, to do that later, so you don't have to watch that since you already saw it. But we'll get this on here, and then I'm going to show you just getting a little bit messy with kind of the I don't know what I'm calling it, like a wash. Yeah, the wash over it. I think it kind of can give it a neat look. Oops. Okay, so sorry I keep walking in front of the camera, but I just want to get over here to get this on. Okay, and then the glue kind of peeks out, but I'll get that with my... Okay, so I'm liking that. I am going to add in something here, maybe some more stamps, but for now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Oh, actually, let me paint this one too. So I'm going to paint, let me bring you over here and I'll show you the process of this. So there it is, it's looking pretty good. Okay, I'm bringing you back over. And, okay. So, where did my flower go? Here it is, okay. So we'll put it right there. It kind of is hard to see on there. Let me grab my, let me get a different paintbrush here. Okay, I'm just gonna use my, this is a Klingon. I'm just gonna use that to get this painted. And this is still moldable. And I'm just gonna come in, get it on the edges everywhere, and we'll let this dry while I'm doing the other pieces. But so you wanna get the edges of this now, because when you put it on there, it's hard to get the edges, you know, behind, without getting it on your piece. So the other color I thought about using in this, and I may actually go and touch up a little bit with it, is the Pennies from Heaven, just to give it a little bit of a, like, I don't know, a little sheen. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what I think. Okay. So we're gonna let that dry. I'm going to see. I want to show you. We're gonna do that, but we're gonna do that on the. Actually, let's do a little cake batter on these guys. So I did one, and I'm gonna do the other one here with, get my water again. Okay, so these little birds, oh my gosh, they're so cute, and there's two of them, so you can make the mirror image. So I was like, oh, I gotta do something with them. Maybe we'll put them on the drawer. Let me hold this so you can see it. Now this is a DIY cake batter. So this is, again, it's a clay-based paint, so this is gonna need a top coat. But in the end, I'm gonna put a top coat over everything because of just, I want it to look all cohesive, and I'll just use a matte top coat on everything. Okay. Okay, oops, there's the little birds. We'll let them dry. Well, the one is dry, but we'll let the other one dry and figure out what we're gonna do with that. Okay, now, oh, I got my pomegranates. Let's paint them in the, I'm gonna paint them in this Adobe color too, because I need a little more of this color. And pomegranates are kind of they're reddish, so this is gonna be our red tone for the piece, even though it's not red. But look at, oh my gosh, even my palette, isn't it cool looking with the different colors of that Bohemian Blue when you water it down? Okay. Okay. So those we're gonna let sit. These won't take very long to dry. Just making sure I get all the edges here, because it'll be easier to do it now than while it's up there. Okay. Okay, and put that aside. Put this in the water. My hands are a mess, but that's okay. All right, let's move back, and we are going to do our wash over these couple little molds here. Okay, so I'm going to grab my Bohemian Blue again, and I'm going to get my water, and I'm just going to do this in the lid. Get a little bit of water in there. Okay, now let's see here. Let me move you over just a tinge so you can see both of these. Okay, is that good? Yeah. Okay, sorry moving you all around. Okay, now, like I said before, I should have gotten in there, but at this point, I'm going to get a little messy here. And because I wouldn't do this over top of the ones that are the DIY paint as the base, but because this is Farmhouse, it's going to allow me to wipe it back with my little rag here, because it's, you know, it's got a top coat on it, so it's not going to sink in to where if it was just regular DIY paint, it would sink in. So now watch, and we're just going to wipe this back, and that little bit of Aqua Provence is going to show through. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just add little bit to the edges, almost like a little wash over this. It's just gonna, now this is, like I said, this was oak, so there's some grain in this. And this, if I didn't seal this, I could just get a wet rag and wipe it all off, but I kind of wanted to give this a little bit of a, I could also spray it with water to give it a little more, actually, let me try that. Get a little spray bottle here. Okay, so it's kind of giving it almost like a background color. So, thank you. So the sunflower, I used Adobe, which is one of the Farmhouse colors. It's a really great rusty kind of color. So I'm just going to do this and add a little water and dab it. See, oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go up to do this one up here, same thing. Going to, and what's gonna happen is the edges where I didn't get the Farmhouse color on there, this DIY paint will fill that in and it'll stick because the clay is just gonna, it's just gonna absorb into that. So, if you know, one thing I didn't mention, I just started a YouTube channel. Now, I'm not big time, I don't have a lot on there yet, but I would so appreciate you going and looking me up. I'll put my link here, but it's For the Nest with Kim Rowe. So I'm trying to start that, and I really wanna kind of reach out to more people with my painting and beyond my little place here in Pennsylvania. So if you are into watching these things, you might enjoy that. Okay. Now I'm gonna spritz that a little bit. I always say sometimes this gets messier before it gets pretty, you know? What I should have here, and I probably have one in my little bag, is my chip brush, because that would be, I could pull that, pull some of this paint into the crevices there. But it's kind of, I guess I'm a watercolor fan just because of my dad and doing it, and my sister actually is doing it now too. So I like this soft watercolory look. It's a little bit more, I don't know, it's got a little soft look to it. So that's that. I will go and do the second side too, but let's bring in some cake batter to our little birds' faces here. So I'm gonna move you over a little bit and we'll do that. Let's see. Okay, so again, I'm just using a tiny little, I'm just gonna, actually not the faces, but the beaks. But I think I will put a little cake batter in here too, just to kind of pull it all together. Now with this, I definitely want to make sure, and it is pretty dry, the Bohemian is dry, and the other colors, actually I want to put their legs yellow too, because you would, if you mix this, then it wouldn't really be separate colors, it would kind of blend in, and I want these to be more of accents and not blended, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm making up my own bird here. I don't know what kind of bird this is, but we're just kind of blending colors. Okay, so I like that. See how this is kind of drippy here? I'm just gonna dab that. Although I don't mind it, I kind of like it, but I don't want it to be too dry. Sorry, somebody was calling me. Okay. So, you know what? I just realized what time it was. Oh my gosh. Okay. I need to go because you got to go watch Sonnet. So go on her page. I didn't realize what time it is. I will continue doing this and I will record it and it will go onto my YouTube channel. So bye-bye. Go watch Sonnet. Bye.